Good morning, and a warm welcome to you, ladies and gentlemen, from the scent marking Tingana, who we have found this morning, thanks to those of you who are watching the dam cam. He was walking right past in front of our car. How marvellous is this to a start of the show? And my name is Steve Volkeridge. I'm joined once again by the impeccable Sebastian Rombi, and the old Duke is doing his thing. There he is. He is right on the tail of where Hukumuri was last night, and he's asserting himself. He is scratching vigorously. He's rubbing. He's urinating. We've only been with him for about 30 seconds, 90 seconds or so, but we found him. Thank you to those for the reports through about him being on the dam cam. How you can tell that it's Tingana on the dam cam still blows me away, but it is indeed the old Duke. And he is here, and he is doing his thing in style. There we go, another scent mark. He's not done yet. This is his territory. He is going to claim it just in time for our Safari Lives show this afternoon. Please don't forget to send through your questions to hashtag Safari Live. It is a crisp 15 degrees Celsius, 57 degrees Fahrenheit. It is a wonderful morning in Djuma, the Sabi Sand, South Africa. We're going to see if we can stay with this Duke. So hold on, fasten your seatbelts. If you have not made your coffee yet, I'm terribly sorry. You might have to wait, but if you have, sit back and enjoy. Oh, this is going to be very hard. Well, while we try and keep up with the old Duke, let's go over to Brent and see what he's up to. It is not chicken medicine here we have this morning, James. It is indeed the old Duke Hukumuri, the old Duke Tingana. You're getting me confused now. Coming back to stake claim in the heart of Djuma. While we just try and get through all this bumpy stuff, he's walking directly towards us. Seb, can you just see him there? I want to spot him in the exact spot. Get a nice sort of frontal as he walks towards us. Okay. He's just moving in this direction. It's quite nice. Vegetation's opened up quite a bit. And we've driven right past his point of exit. There he is. Sorry about my head. Hello, Tingana. What are your plans this morning? Are you looking for Hukumuri? This is his territory, and he is not done fighting for it just yet. We saw him rubbing his head. When you first came to us, he was rubbing his head all over that stump. And then he started scent marking it. And we've seen him do at least 3 of those on his way. He hasn't called, though. I didn't hear any leopards calling this morning, and we would have heard him. You would have heard him on the dam cam calling. So maybe he's just interested to see, what does this other male smell like? What chemical signature is his urine giving off? And I'm sure that a urine smell to cats can tell them the strength, the size, the reproductive status of the animal. I'm sure he might be quite interested to come and sort of find out the status of this other, bigger, maybe younger leopard. But I've been told Tingana was a beast in his day, and I don't think he's done yet. He's going to go out fighting. Okay, he's going to rub his head again, is he? Nope, I missed that one. Definitely smelling. Ralph and Seb left Hukumuri somewhere headed in this direction, am I right?
Yes, that's right.
Somewhere in this direction, so it's very likely he is on his trail. I mean, he's quite a few hours behind, though, bearing in mind leopards do a lot of their movement by day, or by night. But I did have some questions last night from one of the viewers, I forget who, about when last did we see Tingana? And last night my answer was last week. This morning my answer is you're seeing him live, in 100% live on Safari Live this beautiful Saturday morning. Oh, You know, Bex is asking me who I think would win between this guy and Hukumuri. And Hukumuri is just, he looks like a scrapper. He just looks to be that kind of animal that would, I don't know. I think it would be marvelous to see. I think there'd be a lot of avoidance, actually, in their behavior. Male leopards don't often come to blows. Sorry about the front of the car in my head there. They don't often come to blows. They try and avoid each other because an injury can actually lead to the demise. But by the state of Hukumuri's face and his features, he seems as if he just scraps with absolutely everybody. Now, you might hear some of the other vehicles, Rexon and Texan from Djuma and Voitela lodges. As they came mobile, I told them that possibly Tingana was seen on the dam camp. And so Rex came and gave me a hand, and I went one way, he went the other, and that enabled us to find the Duke within minutes, which is why we do what we do and why we speak on the radio. Why it's important to have good relationships with everybody here. Jay Fletcher, a very good question. Leopards will eat opportunistically whatever it is that comes about. So just like what we used to be like, seasonality, we would get fruit would come through, like avocados were only available certain times of the year. Nowadays, because of our transport system, we get avos all year round. But leopards have got diet changes, so they basically will feed on young impalas. For example, during the sort of November, December, January period, during this period, they'll probably have a higher increase in male impala because of the rutting. And then female impalas during sort of September to November because they're pregnant. He was just scent marking there again. Now he's moving off. Keep up with him. But they will feed on whatever they come about. There's always duiker around. There's always steenbok around. They might feed on certain birds. The time arises. I mean, what we've seen, some people have seen Husani eating terrapins, and I think James found the remains of a tortoise that apparently Shadulu had fed upon. They're very opportunistic. Whatever comes about, they'll eat. They're not picky eaters. But definitely a seasonality when it comes to baby animals versus adult animals. They'll always pick the easiest. And a pregnant female impala, if she's struggling, same as a pregnant female kudu, if she's struggling, they will take that for sure. Okay, well, from this beautiful leopard, let's go to James Henry, who's got his nose to the ground with some tracks. The Duke of Djuma. Indeed, he has been moving and scent marking as he goes. He's definitely got some smell that he's been focusing on. It's impossible for me to tell you what smell it is, but he's been looking off into the distance. Heidi, I'm not sure. I think they'll eat in similar proportions in the winter and the summer. It all depends on the heat and how hungry they are. I mean, do you eat more in the winter than in the summer? At meal times. I'm not talking about snacking during the day, but I think I eat a similar amount of food in summer. Okay. So Alicia and Rebecca eat more in winter, but that's all snacks, you know. I don't think, Rebecca and Alicia, that you eat a bigger meal every day. Your breakfast, is it bigger? Probably not. Your lunch, probably the same, but you have more snacks in between. So it's possible that in the winter they will feed on more and have maybe more snacks, but doesn't mean they're going to kill more animals. I don't know. Actually, proportionally, there's probably more animals available for killing in the winter versus the summer. There's more babies in the summer, which are a bit easier to catch. And as winter comes around, they're feeding more on sort of pregnant impala females, kudu females that are really struggling with the dry conditions. So it's really, really subjective to what it is that they catch. And the leopards will feed themselves constantly if they can. They'll hunt again and again and again if they can. For example, if a leopard got into a chicken coop, it would kill every single chicken in there just because it's moving. Not necessarily because they're hungry. They just can't help themselves. It is the cat instinct. Maybe all of you out there who have got domestic cats, do your cats feed on their pellets and their food more in the winter than the summer? That would be your go-to. I don't ever remember my cat in winter being hungrier. I do remember it snuggling a lot more than it did in summer. Grommet leopards seem to, their stomach seems to shrink enormously if they haven't eaten in a week. But necessarily they eat lots of protein, so it doesn't really affect their overall condition. But if they go for over 2 weeks, starts exceeding probably a week and a half, 2 weeks, then you'll probably noticeably start seeing some changes in the condition of the animal. But it's unlikely that happens to many leopards until they get quite old. And then once they get quite old, I mean, we saw Mvula, who was looking quite scrawny, and then he managed to find, I think it was an impala killed or something, and within hours, it seemed, his condition turned around. We've seen something similar with the Duke here, who was looking a little bit sort of not himself a few weeks ago, or about a month ago, and then suddenly he got a few kills around Chitwa Dam, and look at him, he's scent marking again. He's looking in great condition. Grommet, there's probably a very good correlation between dewlap size and power, but the dewlap is also there as an intimidation sort of a thing, almost like male lions and their manes. If a leopards often will size each other up just visually rather than having to confront each other, and if they can see that the one has got an enormous neck, they'll quite often, if it's bigger than theirs, they'll rather just leave it alone. Why fight with something that's clearly bigger than you? But I don't think it necessarily means more powerful, but it's probably correlated to the power. But I'm not 100% sure. I mean, how powerful is a leopard? Leopards are all phenomenally powerful. And I think when it comes to sort of more about a bit of a mindset, if you're able to intimidate the opposition before there's a confrontation, you win. So you don't need to be powerful if you're able to intimidate. But if it goes to blows, you're going to need to be able to back up that power that you are sort of showing to the opposition. We've been following him through this block, and there's lots of termite mounds and holes, aardvark holes in the ground. So we're hoping he doesn't go too much further, because if he does, it could be quite difficult to keep following. Yeah, Wildy fell into a lovely hole yesterday, and I fell into an enormous hole last week. I think on Sunday, actually. Wow, is it already a week? The week is absolutely flying by. There he is. The Duke, are you going to lie down now, my boy? Okay, it's been a lot of exertion. And look how he just disappears. Hello, Samu, age 9. You want to know about his age and what he preys on? He preys on whatever he can get, really. What the easiest meat for him to catch. He will catch whatever he can. If there was a male impala here, he'd probably go for it. But leopards are very opportunistic. They will always, all predators will pick the easiest meal. It's just the lower energy expended. There's no point in going and spending all the energy trying to get the top meat out there if you can get something much easier. They're not that picky when it comes to that. But when you start getting older, they probably start taking a little bit less quality, but then have to be even more selective. But he's walking through the grass here, whether he's looking for hukumuri or for a meal. He didn't look very full. He doesn't look emaciated or anything. He's definitely eaten of late, but I think he could probably do with a meal. But I think what he's doing now is more of a sort of a claiming back the Djuma crown, which just in time he wanted to be a member on the show this afternoon, and he's come back in style to do so. So how marvellous is that? We're going to have to reposition because he has gone flat in the grass, and amazes me how a leopard can just disappear like that. Okay, well, let's go from flat Tingana to the Duke of Wild Earth, James Henry. Yeah, well, thank you, Brent. Don't go too fast, you might miss some tracks. But the Duke, he's sat down since our last interaction, and he is not doing too much. His eyes are wide awake, and he's definitely alert. I reckon he might be listening for anything out in the darkness, not the darkness, but out in the wilderness. And we tried to get a little bit closer, and we nearly got stuck again. So, very difficult area to navigate. So, either hopefully he comes a bit closer to us, or if he does move, he moves into a more sort of respectable area without so many aardvark diggings, because the soil is very sandy, and we had a wheel off the ground moments ago, but don't worry, impeccable driving skills with Seb assisting, we're able to get out without too much embarrassment. Now, the vehicle was watching us, but they left, and so we're now here all on our own with Tingana, who has gone flat. I think we might be able to get around to that side. Ali, it is actually Tingana's territory that Hukumuri's moved into. I think Hukumuri moved in here in February. And so what happens essentially after a rainfall is that rain washes away scent markings. And I'm not sure exactly where Hukumuri was scent marking yesterday. Seb, you were with him?
Yes.
Pretty similar areas, eh? So it's a pretty similar area that Hukumuri was moving through yesterday that Tingana's been moving through. So he's probably smelling the guy and then he's spraying on top, which is a direct challenge, you know. It's like, hey, I'm here. You're advertising occupancy by spraying. But the fact that he's not calling is the concern. If he was calling, he'd be advertising to Hukumuri, I'm here now. And then there would be some form of interaction, whether it just be the two leopards standing off from each other, left and right, kind of not looking at each other, just growling. That would be marvelous to see. But I haven't heard Tingana call since my first week in January. It's the first time and last time I heard him call. And Hukumuri, as we've probably seen, is quite sort of vocal. Was he calling last night?
He didn't call last night.
See, he wasn't calling last night. So I don't understand. I think these leopards, it's kind of like on the edge. You know, Hukumuri wants the area, but he's not really willing to advertise his immediate presence. And so then the next day, Tingana comes past, he smells it, goes, oh, I'm going to spray. And there's just this constant cat and mouse of who's going to spray first. But as soon as one of them calls, they're letting the other one know immediately someone is there, and that should invoke some form of reaction, as you've seen with the Birmingham boys coming back into the area after the evokers were calling on, was it Monday? Monday. So who knows what's going to happen with these cats. We're going to try and get around there and see if we can get a better visual of this beautiful Tingana who is laying flat in the grass. You would not see him if we did not know he was there. And hopefully we don't fall into a hole. But unlike Brent and James, Seb and I are quite warm because we've got a cup of coffee. Okay, so there's another vehicle coming in. I'm going to try and help them maybe get to the position of that before I move so that I don't get stuck. Okay, let's see how James is getting on with those alarm calls. He is on the move and we've managed to find him again, but it's still inside this block. It's not a very fun block, but at least it seems as if... Oh, Seb, can you get him there?
Yes.
Seems as if the termite mound or the aardvark diggings have disappeared somewhat. There he is. How beautiful is that image? Ah, there's your screenshot, folks. How marvelous is the Duke. Couldn't believe how close we were to him. He was so flat. All we saw eventually was a tail sticking over a log. And other vehicles that had come in, we tried to help them find him, and they couldn't see him, so we went in, and he was right there. Okay, well, we're going to move forward again, see if we can get him again. How marvelous is this to start the morning? He gave us opportunity as well to have a quick cup of coffee, which is great. And we haven't here we go, he's busy scent marking vigorously again. Off he goes. He's definitely claiming this area, but it's interesting how he's moving through the block, doing the scent marking. There's obviously something that he's doing it on top of. Maybe it is Hukumuri, folks, I really couldn't tell you. This is the area Hukumuri came into, but you can imagine trying to follow. There we go, he's rubbing his head. All these sort of communication signals. There we go, he's going to turn and spray. Yes. He's going to smell his own urine, just to double check. Yep, that's me. All sorts of things going on in the brain when they're doing that. I would love to know what they're thinking. Control, yes, both the leopard urine smell the same as far as I'm concerned. To a leopard, I'm sure that there's a difference in how they smell and what's going on in there, but the smell all's got that sort of cheese Doritos popcorn sort of smell to it, which is very, very characteristic. Interestingly though, Janet's urine smells quite similar. That's always one of those sort of questions we used to stump the students with. What also smells like leopard urine? Similar, it's not exactly the same, but definitely similarity to it. Sorry about that. Sorry, Bex, I was just focusing there quite closely. I didn't... Seb has got him. I don't see him. So I don't know if you can go with that question again for me. That would be great. There he is. Look at that. That is camouflage to the max. Russell, one thing you'll notice about certain animals, animals have an ability, certain animals have an ability to sort of concentrate their urine to allow them to not have to drink as much. Giraffe urine in the summertime is okay. As it gets more wintry, their urine gets very, very strong and very concentrated with uric acid. Because as we've seen, as you might have seen, giraffe, it's quite difficult for them to drink. So they get a lot of their moisture from the food that they eat. I'm just trying to tell this guy where the leopard is. He can't see it. And so they'll actually get this very, very, very bright, luminescent urine, and it's got a very strong odor to it. Very, very strong odor. He's Tingana. How fantastic is that? I have no idea where he is. He's hiding in the long grass. That is what leopards do. Not at all, Martini. I still love popcorn. I actually love smelling leopard urine. I get quite excited when I smell it, because it means there's a leopard nearby. Even if you don't see the leopard, it's nice to know that they are in the area. So often I'll stop with a vehicle and with all the students or the guests I've had in the past, and I'll reverse back into the smell. And I might even get out and try to find the bush that they've urinated on with my nose. And I quite enjoy the smell, actually. Now, if Seb just pans out a little bit, see if you can spot the cat. Keep your eyes on him. Keep your eyes on him. Now we're going to come back as far as our can you see that? He is absolutely invisible. Look at that. That's what we're looking at with the naked eye. That's why it's very important that when we're driving through this thick stuff, that our camera operator is assisting in our relocation of these cats, because they can just suddenly go flat like that, and that is why their spots are the way they are. And there we go. The solitary camouflaged hunter, invisible. And bearing in mind, the prey animals all see black and white, so they won't even see him. What they see when they see a leopard is they see a shape. That's why leopards, when they are stalking, they crouch, they flatten their ears. We saw it with the Sana the other day. He flattened his ears, and the impala couldn't see him, but it took the monkeys who can see depth because they see color vision. They were able to see him because they see the depth. We can see a leopard from a distance with an outline, but a lot of animals, if they don't see the shape properly, they don't have the depth perception because of the black and white vision. It means that a leopard goes very unnoticed to them. Well, the 15 degrees Celsius is disappearing very quickly. It's warmed up quite a lot in the last half hour. Jamie, I don't know. I mean, leopards, they never run out. There's always moisture. So if they can scent mark, it's all part of their behavior. It's why they need to drink. That's why white rhino need to drink, because they do an enormous amount of scent mark spraying during their territorial wanderings. And so it just means that if there was no water nearby, these animals would not survive. And obviously the presence of water allows for certain prey species to sort of hang around in the area, and that's why most of the territories you find encompass parts of water, or streams or rivers or lakes or whatever it might be. That very, very important component in the survival of these species. And I think the scent marking they'll have would be a bit more sort of concentrated, a little bit less. Like my dad's dog, I remember, used to run up and down the beach and urinate on every piece of kelp in Cape Town. Now that just went on and on and on, and it obviously gets to the point where it's just spraying, just a very little bit, but it's enough. The little spray that comes out is enough to indicate that it's been recently visited. That is the key behind scent marking. It doesn't have to be completely lathered in moisture. Just the fact that someone has touched that and it is there. So the presence has been re-established. So as I mentioned, it's getting warm here, and it seems as James has finally taken off his jacket. Let's go and see what they're up to. He is very, very flat. The other vehicles that were with us before have moved out of the sighting, so we've got him on our own, which is marvelous. I love spending time with this gentle giant of a leopard, and it is just marvelous how camouflaged he is. The other two vehicles couldn't see him where he was, so they decided, well, seeing as he's not moving, they're going to leave. Which is fine with us. We will stay here. I know how many of you back home love the Duke, and so as much time spent with him as possible is very, very good for all of you, I know. And we enjoy it too, don't we, Seb? Yeah. Tingana was the first leopard I saw on my interview drive. Saw Hosana that morning though, but on my interview drive we saw the Duke. Heather lily, all the mustelids, so the honey badger and the genet and the civet, they all have a very strange smells. They're almost like a skunk. They are able to give off a bit of an odor, and it's in a form of defense to prevent them from being attacked or eaten. So yes, I've never actually smelt. I've smelt a civet pasting before. They do pastings that are quite similar to hyena. They're just a bit darker. And yeah, it's got a very sort of sweetish sort of smell to it. I wouldn't say it's unpleasant. I'm trying to wrap my head around it. It's been 2 or 3 years since I smelt one, but I remember it being quite nice and smelly, but a sweetish sort of smell, whereas hyena paste marking is revolting. The smell is unbelievable. It'll make you gag in your mouth directly. Elephant bull and musk, they've got a kind of like a soury but yet sweet at the same time sort of smell when they are dribbling their urine, and it's a very obvious sign when you come across an elephant bull. Even before you see him, you can smell him, and that's a good opportunity to be prepared for maybe encountering an animal with a bit of a mood. And quite often if you just switch off and listen, you'll hear him nearby. He'll probably come up closer and say hello, but it's got quite sort of a sweet and sour smell at the same time. It's hard to really put my finger on the flavours in there. And can you think of anything else, Seb, that's got a very weird and wonderful smell? The potato bush, which James Hendry has been trying at length to show many of you on camera. It's very hard for you to smell it. They smell like fried and cooked potatoes. Well, let's go and ask James himself what he thinks are the weird and wonderful smells in the African savannah. Yeah, well, Tingana has officially lain even flatter than he was before, and he is obviously tired of his wanderings this morning, and I suppose reclaiming a territory does take its toll on your energy levels. Having a little bit of a twitch. I think he's actually in a proper catnap at the moment. We're hoping he's going to get up and do something. And we're in Parlour alarm calling at him when we were trying to find him again earlier. But they quickly moved off. He still has the ability to hunt, but who knows how far he's come from last night. I didn't hear Hukumuri calling last night, did you? Or a leopard calling. So Tingana's probably moved into the area smelling the interloper, smelling the scent marking he's left behind, and it's probably been a concern for him for some time, and now he's taking his much-needed rest. Carol, I really don't know. Hey, a lot of people ask me these things about what Hosana is going to do and is he scent marking, and I don't think he should be scent marking. But, I mean, I'm seeing behavior in Hosana that I've never experienced before. I can't find any of it in any books anywhere. So, you know, now Brent has spent a lot longer in the Sabi Sands. He knows leopards, the Sabi Sands leopards, much more than I do. And, you know, for Tingana or Hosana to be scent marking over his father is just, I don't know, it's a bit tricky, you know. It's a bit of a tricky one. Because I don't think Hosana's of the age to be able to stake a territory, and for him to be staying in his natal area is also quite bizarre. I know we all love seeing him and we love having him around, but the interaction on the tracks that we saw yesterday morning, indicated that that Hukumuri was chasing Hosana all over the place. Now that's what Herbie reckons. I just saw tracks of 2 males and a female. Who they were, it's very hard to say, but it makes sense considering Hosana was nearby and Hukumuri as well as Shudulu female. So maybe the fact that Hosana is doing some scent marking is attracting the attention of Hukumuri, which will surely push Hosana away. And at the same time, Tingana should do the same if his son is starting to claim his crown, as any king would do if the prince started sort of laying claim to what was his. It's just not really done, you know. As soon as you start scent marking, you're taking control and you're putting in a direct challenge to the territory holder. So we're trying to get you the best shots possible, but at the moment, this is what we have to work with. We have a cat, though, nonetheless. It is Cat a Day. I believe it is Saturday. Yes, it is. Probably time for another coffee soon, Seb. What do you think? Yeah, we're probably going to stay with him for a little while, Bex, and just see what happens. And obviously, if you'd like us to move off, we can. But who knows, he might get up again. He might do some moving. We might give it a little bit longer and see. Obviously, it depends on content from your side and how Brent and James are getting on. But you let us know. We're more than happy to stay, but we can also move off shortly if need be. So please, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to send through your questions at #SafariLive. Let us know what your thoughts are anyway on seeing the Duke back in Djuma doing his thing. Really nice to see him doing it here. I know the takes from last week were him vigorously scent marking Chitwa, And now we got him again this morning doing the same thing. If you don't do Twitter, use just the YouTube stream underneath the Safari Live video right now. Don't forget to subscribe and click that bell to get instant notifications of highlights and specials straight to your phone or laptop device. Maybe we should put a poll out there this morning, Bex. What are the viewers' thoughts on if Hukumuri and Tingana interacted with each other? So let's think of the poll, folks. Hukumuri and Tingana. Let's just put down a Hukumuri or Tingana for the win. If it came to a one-on-one, what are your thoughts between the two leopards? Are we going to go for the experienced and aging Duke? Or are we going to go for the younger and scrappy-looking Hukumuri, who is covered in scars and has eyes of someone who just wants to fight everything he sees? So take it, your own thoughts into consideration. Hashtag Safari Live, Tingana or Hukumuri. Or put it through on the YouTube. I don't know if that works on the poll, but well, while we stay here and wait for your answers to come through, let's go over to James with a little bird. Yes, well, hopefully whoever that is that Brent is about to find is being a little bit more active this morning than this Duke of Djuma. And I believe that all of you, well, most of you out there have voted and the polls are in. And you think we should announce it, Bex, if we give it enough time? We'll give it 2 more minutes. So those of you who've been making your coffee and who have faith in the Tingana, please send through your votes as soon as you possibly can. And let's see what you think. Who would win in a battle? Tingana, the old Duke of Djuma, or Hukumuri, the chicken medicine? Doesn't sound so frightening now, does he? Jan, I've never seen a female leopard with a dewlap. I think it's mainly a male thing. I could be mistaken, but I've never seen one. It's such a noticeable thing on a male. You could just see the neck. It's just an enormous, thick neck. And it's not necessarily the actual throat itself, but it's the dewlap hanging down. And I've never seen a female. It's always got very elegant sort of lines around the jaw, over the chin. You know, very similar to sort of the human race. You know, where females are inclined to have more of a sort of delicate jawline versus the masculine, very sort of strong masculine jawline. And it's as a response to fighting. I mean, I know female leopards do fight as well, but male leopards do encompass more females in their territories, and they want to maybe avoid confrontation. A male leopard having a fight with another male leopard is an enormous feat of strength, claws, teeth, fur, and energy, and so they do avoid it if they can. That is why I am sure neither of these two rivals are calling. As much as we'd like to see some interaction, if a proper fight happened between the two, it could be the last for either one of them, depending on the injuries that are brought upon in each individual. So, I think it's been nearly 2 minutes. Bex, are you going to give me the final tally on the poll there? Dun dun dun. Holy whack. Ladies and gentlemen have just turned the tables in the last 2 minutes of this discussion. There is an overwhelming 51% for Tingana. Well, the old Duke, I hope you're happy to hear that. You are 51% versus 49%. And we're probably going to stay with him for one more segment. But while we stay here and do our thing, let's go over to James, who's scratching in the sand like a guinea fowl.